The Trapdoor Mysteries, Chapter 9. Tally yawned and stretched. Squill snuggled closer to her as he gently snored. The two friends were hidden in a little nook in the hallway, behind a large, ornate plant pot. They had been there for ages. Tally yawned again as she heard the clock in the hallway strike 3. Maybe the burglars weren't coming. She sighed. All that work. She'd have to take the web down again before dawn, otherwise Mr. Bude would tangle himself up in it. Tally bit her lip in frustration. All at once, the furry body next to her sat bolt upright. Squill's ears twitched. "Did you hear something?" Tally whispered. And Squill held up one claw for silence. Tally strained to listen. At first, there was nothing, but then a soft creak as the old dresser in the servants' hall was pushed along the floor. Someone had come through the malthouse tunnel. Tally heard the careful tread, tread, tread of feet across the servants' hallway. Her heart began to thump, and Squill had to move away from the loud noise coming out of her chest so it didn't hurt his ears. The squirrel peeked out from behind the nook. He darted back and gave Tally a little nod. The burglars were coming. Tally could hear them talking now. "Joe, quick, tapestries this way. Come in. I just looking at the sofa. Leave the sofa. Just one look, Harry." Tally could hear the burglars sneaking into the ballroom. Then there was a loud squeaky noise. "Joe, stop jumping on the sofa." "But I likes it." "Joe." There was a clattering noise as Tally guessed that Harry was pulling Joe off the sofa and out of the ballroom. "Come on, stop messing. You's ruining the plan. The tapestry is just up there." Tally shrank back behind the plant pot as they came closer along the tapestry corridor, past the nook, past the stained glass window, past Tally's hiding place. Her heart was beating fast, and for a moment she wondered if she was doing the right thing. Maybe she should have stayed safely tucked up in her sink, with Squill snuggled down next to her. But the burglars had nearly reached the web. Tally held her breath. She peered between the large leaves of the plant, using them as camouflage. The burglars took another step, and another, and... "Come on," whispered Tally. She'd come this far for Lord Smollett. Her plan had to work. "Hey," cried one burglar. "What's going on?" cried another. The burglars had walked right into the web. "It's all sticky," they shouted. They wriggled their arms and legs trying to get free. They pushed forwards, they pulled back, they twisted, they turned, but whatever they did, they couldn't escape. "I's caught." "Me too." He's all caught up there. Tally stepped out from the nook. The web was nearly invisible. As the moonlight streamed in from the hallway window, it looked to Tally like the two burglars were blocked by a transparent wall. And then she saw the fine silver threads that were sticking them tight. She turned to Squill and grinned. "Oi! Stop! Let me go!" The burglars were getting louder and louder as they struggled. Every time they squirmed, the web tightened around their bodies. Soon their shouts and cries filled the manor house, and Squill quickly hid himself in Tally's pinafore pocket. They heard a rush of footsteps along the corridor, and Tally stepped in front of the web as figures burst through a door. "Stop!" she cried. "Don't come any closer or you'll be caught too." 3 people stood in front of her in their pyjamas. Lord Mollett, Mrs. Sneed and Mr. Bude. There was a clatter, and then a 4th person appeared. It was Lady Mollett, taking small, careful steps. She was wearing an evening coat and a set of pearls over top of her pyjamas. She'd even managed to pull on a pair of shoes, while Lord Mollett was wearing his bunny slippers. All 4 of them glanced between Tally and the burglars. Lord Mollett's mouth dropped open, and Lady Mollett gave a small squeal, pulling her evening coat tighter around her throat. "What have you been doing, Tally?" Mrs. Sneed snapped. "It looks like you've had ideas." Everyone was staring at her. I thought I'd catch the burglars." Mr. Bude's mouth opened and closed. Lord Mollett stepped forward. "Tally, I knew you'd come up with a plan. This trap is fantastic. How did you make it?" Tally knew the rules. She had to keep the secret of the library. She thought quickly. "I used all the spider webs I collected from the roses in the garden," she answered, crossing her fingers behind her back. "Very clever," Lord Mollett breathed. He patted Tally on the shoulder. Mr. Bude coughed. "Well, yes, It is a bit clever, he said. Tally was shocked. Was she about to receive some praise? But not as clever as my plan. I was just about to put into action myself, you know. Yes, I was just putting the finishing touches to the drawings. Yes, Mrs. Sneed jumped into the conversation, and my plan would have involved a lot less mess. She sniffed, and a bit more cheese. Hey, yelled the chief thief, called Harry. Can you get us down? Too right, added Joe. I needs a nap on your sofa. Lord Mollet and Mr. Bude untangled the burglars, tearing through the spider web. The two men fell to the ground, and out of their pockets fell 1 silver bear, 1 spider brooch, 4 emeralds, 1 diamond ring, 3 necklaces, 1 watch, a rolled-up painting, and half a chandelier. Where's the other half? Inquired Lord Mollet. I dropped it, said Joe. Lord Mollet bent down to rescue his silver bear and spider brooch. He turned them over carefully in his hand to check them and gave them a quick polish. And then the Lord of Mollet Manor turned to Tally. Thank you, he said. Tally smiled. Lord Mollet reached out and pinned something on her pinafore, and Tally looked down and gasped. He'd given her the spider brooch. You don't need to do that, she spluttered. He certainly doesn't, said Mrs. Sneed's icy voice. I want to, Lord Mollet said. Tally lit up inside like a firework. She tried hard to stop smiling. It would only annoy Mrs. Sneed. Can we have a cup of tea? Harry asked. Yeah, could you bring it over to the sofa? Joe suggested.